So excited. Welcome back, everybody. We have amazing guests every week. And I know for those that tune in regularly, they're probably tired of me saying how blessed I am to do the work that I do because I get to interview exciting people with great stories and we get to talk about their journey. So, with us today is a longtime friend of mine, Melissa Shea. She's with Everyday Realty Services. Some of you may know her because she's a real estate investor, a coach, an educator, a mom. We can do this all day, but she's just awesome. And we wanted to make sure that we brought her on today, not just to talk to us about what's happening in the market and how to get engaged in real estate and investing, but also we want to make sure we highlight her big event that is coming up on Long Island next week. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rhonda. I'm always so honored to be with you. So thank you for the time.
You know, you and I were reflecting offline about how long it's actually been since we know each other. And, it's two girlfriends. It's like, hey, how are you? We could not talk forever and then just pick up the phone. So I love that dynamic. And I think
Yeah.
what's important is that every time you and I chat and we get together, it's always we're staying in our lane, but we're growing.
Right.
So for those of you, or I should say for those viewers that may have heard you on my show years ago, what are you doing now? Because you're still in the same vertical, but what are you
Yeah.
focusing on right now?
So my mission has always been, Rhonda, to empower and educate families for financial independence. I think that hits at the core of what we do. And I love you've always been a generous soul. I mean, we met through charities and things like that. And that's really what we try to do, right? You're also somebody who empowers people in business, and I think that's so important in today's world, right? Education is going to solve the problems, and if we don't share that education because it's not taught in school, in fact, I think we're getting dumbed down over the years. I think it's important to keep growing, and education is the base of that. So yes, I stay in my lane of education and real estate investing because it's amazing to me that the biggest form of wealth is created through real estate, and only 3% of people own properties other than their primary or secondary homes. So there's still a lot of growth in this field for people to make a difference. And if I could share this, I love when I can affect a family that they make an extra 10, 20, $30,000 in a year, which means that they get to spend time with their kids at home rather than taking that second job. Because too many people are trading time for dollars. And as we get older, I'm realizing how much time is shorter. And so if we can educate people to use our time more wisely to make more money so that we can spend time with the ones we love, I think that's my mission, and that's what I love doing.
You have a lot of kids just like I do. And
Yeah.
your kids have watched you, as a strong leader. My kids have watched me be a strong leader. And we try to be there as much as we can. But I know you and I make that time. We are those moms that take our kids with us. I have to speak. I'll take my kids with me. My kids have had so many experiences because of the fact that I do what I do. But when you talk about the families that you're educating and you are trying to, empower them through real estate and wise real estate investing choices. I think what
Right.
happens is you hit it on the head. They could take a second job, or you can educate them to make good financial decisions. As a coach and a mentor, you're there to protect them, but it
Right.
affords them the opportunity of not only creating legacy for their kids, but opportunities and experiences, I think, are so important that they then get to share with their family as well.
It's so interesting you say that because a lot of people tell me all the time, oh, I'm leaving a legacy for my kids and stuff like that. And as my kids have gone older, it's this stage in their life. They're in their young 20s, late teens. They're like, oh, we don't want the real estate. But the legacy is not in the assets, it's in those experiences. What you just talked about is that we're teaching them that this is a way to do it. So whether they inherit it or take it on, the fact is we've taught them the skills to be independent so that they could, like the story you just told me about your other son, say, you know what, you don't pay me enough to sit in this chair. I know how to make the money myself, and I'll go out and do it myself. And that, man, that is a freedom that people at his age at 19 is just amazing. So yeah, kudos to Zachary for that.
What happens too is I don't know if you do this with your kids, but because I obviously still dabble in real estate, whenever I am looking at a project, and for those that know, like I'm super crazy, right? Like I'm just a massive risk taker. And what happens is, my kids have learned, and as they've gotten older, and we're talking about real estate, I've gotten to the point where I can have educated conversations about risk and reward. So it's
Yeah.
not about the real estate, it's about the business conversation and the life lessons and learning liability and responsibility along the way. So
Yeah.
there are times that my kids will say, "Hey, Ma, can you get this for me?" I'm like, "Oh no, we're poor right now. Give it 2 months. Right now, Mom's poor." But then there are other times, and they'll say, "Hey, how are we doing?" Or "What does that look like?" Because it's one thing to carry the responsibility of a single household. It's another thing, like I carry multiple mortgages for all of my projects. There is a monster amount of liability associated. So
Yeah.
let's you're doing this, you mentor, you coach, you help new investors. If somebody came to you and they were interested in investing, like what are the top 2 or 3 things that are screeners for you to decide whether or not they have, I hate to say it, the mental and emotional capacity to commit?
It's so interesting that you say that, Rhonda, because it's not even just about money. I'm coaching this one person, which I have to actually terminate because she's not doing the follow through, right? So it's really the follow through and the commitment to themselves. You can't motivate somebody to do this, right? So I look for the pain. I love hearing the story of the why because, and everybody says, start with why. And it's true because if they don't have enough pain to make a change, they're not going to. And so for myself, my pain was, being in an abusive relationship and how to get out. And too many women go back, or even men go back because the other person is the moneymaker. And I saw it myself with the woman that was in my group. She went back and then ultimately she got stabbed and so did her kids. So that's my strongest why. So I'm always asking him if their pain is, hey, I get on a commuter train for 2 hours each way. I don't see my kids. I don't see my wife. The stress is too much. There's a pain there. I can fix that. Education can fix that. If it's, I'm retiring and oh my God, I don't have enough money to last the days. I'm going to outlive my money. That's a real pain and a real fear. I can fix that because the pain is there, right? So I think that's what I look for is the why and the pain, because if it's strong enough that they want to make the change, then as a coach, we can help them, you know?
You do a lot in obviously mentoring and coaching young real estate investors. And I think there is this rumor, say it like that, in order to become a real estate investor, you have to have a lot of money. So
Mm.
for those that are listening that have been contemplating real estate investing, let's set the record straight. Let's hear it from you. I can speak about it all day. Let's hear it from you.
No, you need grit and look, some money is definitely a help. You know what I mean? Like, but I would not limit that. And here's the thing, younger, obviously because our kids are in that age, they're 18 to 25, right? I think that's a beautiful age. If they're smart enough, this is probably going to cause some commotion for you. If they're smart enough not to go to college and actually learn from the college of knowledge in the streets, they can learn how to house hack and get into their first investment. They have an opportunity to do that. I'm working with my son Nikki to try to get to that point where it's the easiest entry point to create the fastest amount of wealth. So that the money is not the issue. It never is. It's always mindset, and people say that very blankly. But what I would say is the grit, the determination, and it's harder because we're seeing a younger generation not as motivated. However, I'm starting to see a shift because they saw it didn't work, right? Get good grades, go to college, get a job. They're miserable and they're in debt. That's not what they want. So they want this freedom. So they went the other way. But my newest group of students, a lot of them are under 25. And I find that amazing. And our coaching program is not cheap. And they still find the money and the creativity. And the good thing is if you're going to go into debt for a college and get $100,000 degree, buy a damn house. You know what I mean? Make a lot of mistakes. At least you own something afterwards, you know? So that's my thought.
For everybody watching or listening today, we are speaking with Melissa Shea. So with that in mind, we have you for another part of our segment. So what I would like to do is because you and I could do this all day. I probably should have booked you for an hour and I didn't. Shame on me. So we'll have you back again.
That would be great.
You have, obviously we're talking about real estate, mentorship, investments and opportunities. And you work with an amazing group of people and you try to put of like kind together in a room. And that's really almost like that basis behind your event that's coming up on Long Island next week. So tell us a little bit about the event and what we should expect and why it's important to you.
Perfect. So it's the Long Island RIA banquet because I'm the president of the Long Island Real Estate Investors Association. And what's so important is our private investors. Without them, we wouldn't have grown. I really appreciate them. In this market shift, they've had to be a little bit more patient to extend their notes and stuff like that. So this is our way, A, of thanking them, and then also inviting people who have more experience. Well, I work with a lot of newer people. I I started the next level because here's the thing, they get 2, 3, 4 properties under their belt, and then they start making very foolish decisions because they don't have the next level knowledge, right? So now they have to be concerned about, we have bonus depreciation this year. How do you take advantage of it? Why are you not a real estate professional? What does that mean tax wise? The game is not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So why are you not getting educated enough in self-directed IRAs? How that could catapult you faster? How do you raise money, which is what you come in? How do they raise money so that they can keep doing it and scale? So that's a little bit, and you are going to be one of our panelists, so I'm very excited about that. So we can talk even more, along with another individual who we both have as a friend, Billy. I met him 15 years ago when he came into my RIA and he pitched a deal and I'm like, oh, he's definitely an illegal, different than everybody else. And he's been extremely successful. So you'll get to network with other people that are like-minded that have done probably what you want to do. And also it's a way of saying thank you and our appreciation to our private investors.
I think it's going to be a fun night. You and I have spoken about it before. And I think what I'm looking forward to, number one, is because of my travel and because of the work that I do, I'm not always on Long Island, right?
Yeah.
I just came back from Dallas. In a week or two, I have to go to South Carolina. Then I go into North Carolina. I've been in Atlanta. I'm traveling a lot for work to see clients, which I love. But there's nothing better than when you have the opportunity to come home. Right. So
Yeah.
that was one of my first experiences speaking on Long Island in a while. I spoke at another conference. It was a conference not that long ago in the summertime, and it was more on the philanthropy side and a different message. So this speaks to a different part of my soul. And, for those who know, I bought my first house in 1996. I was 23 years old. People
Smart.
Don't hear about your story and your why. Like we were talking,
Yeah.
I started investing in real estate almost 30 years ago. It's
Isn't
a
that crazy?
it's a long time, but because of that, when you're sharing spaces in rooms like yours, and when you are working with mentors and you have the opportunity to join organizations, there's so much power in other people's success and failure. So
Yeah.
with that, let's talk a little bit about, again, from what you're doing in the mentorship space. How are you there to protect the people that are in your program?
So it's interesting. I find that lecturing doesn't work, right? So I call it the learn and earn project. So that's how we coach, right? So we're going to we launch our next one, which is the accelerator program to get a little faster in November. And it's a live interaction. Like you're interacting and actually doing, but the cool part is you can actually purchase properties there. You know what I mean? And that's what we're trying to do is protect them because there's a lot of sharks in this industry, like we were talking about the other day, right? How do you analyze them? How do you make sure your comps are right? What happens when it all goes wrong? That's how I look at it. What can you do to mitigate the circumstances, right? Um, and so those are some of we jokingly call it the exit strategies, but you've got to figure out plan B and C's. And so we teach a lot about that piece of it. And we create a safety net. I always encourage people to invest in markets I'm already in. So I know the demographics pretty well. You know what I mean? Creates a lot more competition for me. But like we have a lot of our investors invested in Connecticut. It makes sense. Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts is the largest population of 2 to 4 units in the entire country. Easy barrier of entry, it's close proximity to New York. So it makes sense. And the rental laws are a lot more favorable in Connecticut than they are in, say, New York, right? So these are things that we do to try to help mitigate it, but education and actually them doing the work, right? What happens is, as a coach, we're just supposed to guide them, right? Not do the work for them. We can present things, but they need to learn how to do the work themselves. And that's hard for our students because they have to take responsibility.
You had to guess, people used to ask me this question all the time. If you had to guess, how many hours a week would you say a new investor needs to put into their craft if they're just getting started now?
Just getting started, it really is not as much as they think. 5 to 10 hours can really get them a good jump start on it. And so that equates to 1 to 2 hours a day if you broke it down that way. And so you could just keep that momentum going. It's really, once they learn how to do it, it's making the offers. Even when you own properties, we have quite a number of units in our portfolio that we manage. And once you get it stabilized, right? Because we do a lot of renovations, but once it's stabilized, the beauty of that is maybe we spend 4 to 5 hours a month doing it. You know what I mean? So I think people have wrong perceptions. One, how much capital they need and how much time it takes. And I think they talk themselves out of it because of those two factors. Whereas if they actually talk to people who do it, I mean, I'm in it full time because I'm like you, just as obsessed and crazy about it. But I'm doing all aspects of the business. You know what I mean? If they just I did a presentation once, how to get to 7 figures with 7 moves. And basically at the end, your retirement, you had over $2 million and a cash flow of $80,000. I mean, all you did was buy 4 properties. It was crazy how simple it is to change your whole life around, and people just don't realize it.
And you've said it before too. It is the mindset. People
Yes.
are in fear of what they don't know and what they don't understand. And when they finally expose themselves and become vulnerable enough to ask for help, that's really when the magic happens, right? It's those people that say, I know everything. Like I have a client right now that I'm doing private coaching for, and his response to so many things was, I already know I'm a coach, remember? Because he is I already know this. And then what I finally said in a conversation with him one day was, we're going to have a coaching moment, and I just need you to not talk. Just please don't speak. I need you to just listen. I cannot allow you to speak. And when I finally got him to understand that he was his own worst enemy, he was not coachable, right? So what happens is you need to have that moment of vulnerability where they go, aha, and they have that aha moment. And that's where the magic happens. And, there's so much opportunity in real estate. The market, obviously, we always say the market is high. We're always in a market that we think is not the right market. But, as professionals like you will teach students, there's always opportunity. It's just a matter of where are you looking and what is your comfort zone. And then for me, I'll leave it with this: find what you like and stay in your lane, because real estate is not a two-word sentence. It is multifamily, single family, development deals, commercial, residential, Airbnb. We could do this.
Private lending. Yeah. It's like,
Exactly. You could just buy notes and be in real estate, right? So you need to know what is it that you enjoy, figure out your strategy, find a mentor, and then stay in your lane, because
mhm.
try to be everything to everybody, you will end up making a lot of mistakes. So with that said, once again, we are speaking with Melissa Shea. Some of you might know her from Long Island RIA, obviously everyday real estate services, real estate investor, real estate coach, mentor. More importantly, we're going to see you next week. And if somebody wants to learn more, how do they connect with you?
Easiest way is go to our website at LIREIA. You could sign up to be either a member, or if you want to just connect with us, you can go on there and chat with us. There's a chat room, and there's also, you can ask for more information. I would say this, whether you use our services or any other services, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Go with a coach, but go with a coachable coach who continues to grow. Like, I continue to pay for mentoring just like you do. My coaching is $40,000 a year. Jack Canfield, like, we keep striving to grow. And that's really important, because when you get to somebody who says they know it all, you'll never do that in real estate. It satisfies the ADD of every person. Just real estate.
The top until you start somewhere else, and then you're on the bottom again. Every room offers a different opportunity. So with that said, thank you so much, Melissa. I am so excited you got to join us today, and I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
seeing you next week.
Yeah, so excited for it. So see you then.
You got it. Stay tuned. We're getting ready to bring you information on next week's show.